All right, good morning, everybody. Order, and we'll move on down to section 2 will be approval of the agenda. 2.1 changes to agenda and approval of agenda. Section 3 will be recognitions. 3.1 recognition of Dexter Day on the occasion of his retirement. 3.2 recognition of Gwen Morris on the occasion of her retirement. And 3.3 recognition of Cindy Gates on the occasion of her retirement. Section 4 is visitors. We have none scheduled. Section 5 will be administrative personnel appointments. 5.1 appointment of principal, Destin Middle School. 5.2 appointment director 1, management information systems. 5.3 appointment of specialist, student services. 5.4 appointment of specialist, curriculum and instruction. 5.5 appointment of program director, curriculum and instruction. And 5.6 appointment of program director, data scientist. And school board members, you should have received yesterday in your emails the names of those people who are going to be recommended Monday night. So section 6 is public comment. 6.1, members of the public desiring to address the school board, Forum MIS. 5241, public input and or discussion of agenda items. And of course, we won't know until Monday night if we have anybody here to speak in public comment. Section 7, committee and staff reports. 7.1, in-county travel paid for the period of May 27th through June 9th, 2021. 7.2, out-of-county travel paid for the period of May 27th through June 9th, 2021. And then 7.3, triennial review of policy 01-21 wellness policy. And that's presented by Lisa Sunday Insurance. I can say it, but it's there you go. All right, so we'll move.
I think she has something to share with us.
Lisa, did you want to share anything on this? Are you good?
He left.
Okay.
He left.
All right, we're good if you're good. All right, so we'll move down to consent agenda, and of course, school board members, just stop me if you have any questions about any of the items down here. Are we okay, Mr. Chambers?
I am now.
Okay, just want, if I need to pause, I'll pause.
Okay.
Okay. 8.1 will be approval of the consent agenda. 8.2, approval of the minutes of the student disciplinary hearing of June 10th, 2021, minutes of workshop meeting of June 10th, 2021, minutes of regular meeting of June 14th, 2021. 8.3, appropriation of District 2 school board member capital outlay funds to Destin Middle School for classroom flooring in the amount of $9,358.06, presented by Ms. Gardner. 8.4, appropriation of District 4 school board member capital outlay funds to Crestview High School for painting of and furniture for the teacher's lounge in the amount of $5,077.65. 8.5, budget amendment number 9, fiscal year 2020 through 2021. 8.6, monthly financial statement for May 2021. Are we good? Okay. 8.7, invoices to be approved for payment. 8.8, school donations. 8.9, payroll warrant register and accounts payable warrant register for May 2021 totaling $28,253,133.12. 8.10, municipal advisory services agreement between the school board of Okaloosa County and Ford and Associates. 8.11, write-off uncollectible accounts receivable. 8.12, fiscal year 2020 through 2021 inventories from all schools and departments. 8.13, fuel purchasing agreement between the school board of Okaloosa County, Florida and Alamirante Fire District. Alamorant, yeah. And that's up in Laurel Hill for those that don't know where that's at. 8.14, request price increase for ITB 18-07, custodial equipment and repair services district-wide. 8.15, renewal of tag-on bid, RFP 190806, speech language pathologist, school psychologist, occupational therapist, and physical therapist services. 8.16, tag-on bid, RFP 21-04, speech language pathologist. 8.17, tag-on bid, purchase over $25,000, Apple. 8.18, renewal of exempted purchase, frontline education. 8.19, multi-year exempted purchase over $25,000, curriculum associates. 8.20, service agreement number 22-03, Michael Hoppenjohn. 8.21, service agreement number 22-04, Kenneth Rhodes. 8.22, service agreement number 22-05, Kelsey Marlowe. 8.23, service agreement number 22-06, Jahari Harris. 8.24, service agreement number 22-07, Ashley Johnson. 8.25, service agreement number 22-08, Grow Your Gift Services LLC. 8.26, service agreement number 22-11, Kristen Elder. 8.27, service agreement number 22-12, Emerald Coast Science Center Family Science Night. 8.28, service agreement number 22-13, Emerald Coast Science Center Small Lab. 8.29, service agreement number 22-14, Emerald Coast Science Center Guided Dissection. 8.30, service agreement number 22-15, Emerald Coast Science Center Planetarium Program. 8.31, service agreement number 22-16, Emerald Coast Science Center Science on Wheels. 8.32, service agreement number 22-17, Emerald Coast Science Center SSA Enrichment Program. 8.33, service agreement number 22-18, Emerald Coast Science Center Virtual Lessons Subscriptions.
May I ask a question of Ms. Ellis?
Yes.
She doesn't have to come up. This is a lot of things for the Science Center, which I think is great. That's okay. A couple of these are new, right? Is that correct?
The subscription piece was created during the COVID year when they were not allowed to come into classes. So Diane and I worked on a program where it's basically a video-driven lesson where the teacher can play a video, the activities and the supplies are usually pretty consumable, and they can do those with kind of a guided person where you stop and start the video.
So we're going to continue that.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, but I'm glad to see that we still have this great partnership with
Yes, ma'am.
that Science Center. This is good. It's been great to get those students back down
Right.
there into the Science Center and continue.
It is, and I love the part where they also come to our schools, which
Right.
reduces the whole transportation costs and things
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
So,
Great,
and
great.
they're all standard based. I will say they work amazing with us to make sure everything supports our standards for state testing.
Terrific. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, 8.34, service agreement number 22-19, Denise Dechari. 8.35, service agreement number 22-20, Ethica LLC. 8.36, service agreement number 22-21, Pat L. 8.37, service agreement number 22-22, Connect ASL Incorporated. 8.38, surplus of school buses. 8.39, renewal agreement for school resource officer program between the School Board of Okaloosa County and the Sheriff of Okaloosa County for 2021 through 2022. 8.40, license agreement between the Okaloosa County School District and LYC Destin LLC. 8.41, renewal of Florida School Board's Insurance Trust membership and property and casualty insurance program. 8.42, data loss prevention plan. 8.43, contract between the School Board of Okaloosa County and the Northwest Florida Ballet Incorporated for the 2021 through 2022 school year. 8.44, consolidated adult general education. 8.45, contract between the School Board of Okaloosa County, Florida and K-12 Florida LLC for FuelEd online educational products. 8.46, virtual instruction provider agreement between Edgenuity and the School Board of Okaloosa County, Florida. 8.47, contract agreement between Panhandle Area Educational Consortium and the School Board of Okaloosa County, Florida. 8.48, memorandum of understanding between the School Board of Okaloosa County and Children's Volunteer Health Network. 8.49, the HBI Home Depot Foundation and the National Housing Endowment 2021 Schools of Skill Award. 8.50, request permission to apply for the IDEA Part B Entitlement 2021 through 2022 and the IDEA Part B Preschool Entitlement 2021 through 2022 grant, the 2022 grant. Okay, so now we'll move to Section 9, Superintendent's Human Resource Recommendation. 9.1 is employees on administrative leave. 9.2, employment separations. 9.3, personnel recommendations. 9.4, employee transfers. 9.5, employee suspension. 9.6, reinstatement, reimbursement of sick leave due to line of duty illness, injury, medical examination. And 9.7, leave without pay. Section 10 is discussion agenda, any items that could possibly move from consent agenda. And now we're to Section 11, construction program owners, representatives, business. And Dr. Kelly, I'll turn it over to you.
And we've already had ours for this month, so we won't have another one until we meet again in July. Thank you.
I will just like to make a comment. As I was coming in, I noticed that we had the big sign in front of Edge, and what I really appreciated is it actually shows what projects are. So I'm really glad to see that. So that way the taxpayers can see what actually is happening with those when we put those signs up. So
Exactly, and we did have a lively discussion on Tuesday night at our Citizens Oversight Committee group, so that was very important, and
Yes.
I think that's going well.
And I'm sure the plan will be all the other signs we have up, we'll put down the projects that are going to be going.
Correct.
Okay. All right, so 11.2 will be an action item. TPM program number 6, task order number 14, pre-GMP Fort Walton Beach High School Boys Field House Roof Project. And I was told in our agenda meeting the other day that this will be a fix and not a Band-Aid. So this is Section 12, Information Technology Seat Management Contract. 12.1, CACI Task Order Number 2-192 for Niceville High School for network drops. And Section 13, Attorney's Business, Mr. McInnes.
No report this morning.
Okay. And Superintendent's Business, 14.1, Out-of-State Student Field Trip Request. And Mr. Chambers, you're up, sir.
Thank you, sir. So first of all, just sticking with the theme of what we were just talking about in terms of some of our projects that are going on throughout the district with the half-cent sales tax, one of the things that you will see here shortly, Mr. Horton and Dr. Kelly's also given some good input on this, is we will have to each of you, every school, each of their projects that are on there, and then exactly where we are on each of those projects. So you'll know at any point in time exactly what's happening at Fort Walton or Edwins or Crestview High School. So that is to come. And also piggybacking on Mr. Bryant's comment on the signs. So you'll continue to see the signs throughout the district. We think that's important for families to see exactly what's occurring, but also for the community to see what's occurring. So appreciate you mentioning that. Also, we have about 25 of the new school buses are in. The next 15 should be in before the start of school. So again, that's exciting times. We have about 160 to 180 school buses. So you think about 40 new ones. And we will continue with a school bus replacement program as we go into the future in our capital project. So we will look to have anywhere from 10 to 20 buses each year. So over the course of 8 years, we hope to have a whole fleet of buses that are new, air-conditioned, seat belts, and all those type of things. So I just wanted to give you that type of information right there. Also, I would be remiss if I didn't congratulate Marty over there and on her grandbaby. Some
Yep.
absolutely
Thank you.
precious pictures.
I have plenty of pictures for anybody who wants to see. Just catch me afterwards.
So I
She
think
is
on
beautiful.
Monday
She is
night, we'll put
beautiful.
them right up here on the screen. That's a
Little
Well, she's
slideshow.
beautiful. Mom already.
This is a busy summer, as you know, and it's a shorter summer. So one, I do want to just take a quick second to thank our district staff, each of the departments. As you know, this is a 2 to 2.5 week shorter summer than normal, and that's significant in terms of the amount of work that has to get done just in a normal summer to prepare for the upcoming school year. So they are working extremely hard, and that's something that very much appreciate. Also, there's a number of student activities and teacher activities that are going on. So we have summer CTE camps that are going on right now. Just want to give you just a little bit of an overview of that. So we have Revved Up at Crestview High School, which is an automotive program. We have Glam Camp at Crestview High School, which deals with cosmetology. Camp Metalhead at Crestview High School with welding. We have Build It at Choctaw High School with carpentry. We have La Cuccia Italiano at Niceville High School in culinary. And we have Scrub It at Fort Walton Beach High School for biomed. And then Primetime Coding at Davidson, which is a STEM activity. And I wanted to mention each of those specifically because this isn't for middle schoolers. This isn't for high schoolers. This is for rising fifth graders. So rising fifth graders are now getting the opportunity to get involved in these type of CTE and STEM activities to generate that excitement, to generate that interest, so when they go into middle school, they can get into the tracks to be prepared to be in any of those tracks that they would like to see as they move forward. We have about 74 students involved this summer, and I was talking to Ms. Branscombe, and she'd like to see even more. And this is a tough summer to get folks into some of these activities, but still very pleased with 74. And these are happening across the district. So you could have a student in Crestview who's interested in the biomed program and can still go to Fort Walton Beach High School. So they're able to go to these different sites. So that's exciting. Also wanted to take an opportunity just to talk about third grade scores for a second. As you know, third grade scores came out. But one of the things that we knew that was important is to see our third grade scores in context to the state of Florida. And as you know, this was a difficult year. A lot of interruptions to school days here in Okaloosa, but across the state of Florida. And we know that learning loss was a big deal. That was a theme throughout the state of Florida, and some of the things that we have been putting into place in summer school that Mrs. Lightbourne will talk about in a moment. But we knew that that was a big deal. So just a few highlights with the third grade scores. So we had about 91% of our students tested. As you may know, normally we have probably 98 to 99% of our students tested. Some of the districts across the state had about 50% of students tested. So to still get 91% of students tested is it's a compliment to our schools. And I don't want to just gloss over that. So schools literally calling families to come up to take some of these tests, and it's a difficult situation because some families did not want to come up and take tests, and we didn't put that pressure on them. But schools did a great job contacting families to take the test. Remembering this year, there's a lot of held harmless in these tests, but to get the scores for diagnostic purposes to be able to remediate as we go forward is important as well. So the state of Florida in third grade scores from 2019, which is the last time we test, dropped 4 percentage points at the state level. So 4 percentage points at the state level, there was a drop. In Okaloosa County, we had a 3% drop in our scores. 63% of our students were proficient this year. The previous year, in 2019, it was 66%. The state of Florida, 54% of the students were proficient across the state in third grade. If you remember, the last time we tested, we ranked 15th in the state in third grade scores. And this year, we ranked 8th in the state in third grade scores. And I say all this with a certain tone because this was a difficult year. I think most importantly this year was about safety. most importantly this year was about giving students and our employees an environment where they could be at school, have as much normalcy as possible, but still learn. And I believe our teachers, our support professionals, our administrators, district staff did a great job keeping school going. And again, not all about test scores, but I'm very proud to see that where we were 15th, 8th this year in a very, very difficult year. So in my mind, folks are to be commended for that, and I appreciate that.
Mr. Chambers, on those scores, is the breakdown for online students and brick and mortar students, or is that just a combined everybody that took the test?
So it's combined, but we do have it broken. We have it broken down by brick and mortar and My School Online. The state of Florida has also done the same. I think across the state, the students who were in brick and mortar, from what was sent to us across the state, the students in brick and mortar did better. Now in Okaloosa, it was some schools, My School Online students did better, and in others they did not. But some schools, in terms of the number tested, they were small. They were very small in terms of the number tested, so that you have to take that into account as
Right.
well.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. And Ms. Lightbourne, if you'd come up. Ms. Lightbourne is going to give us just a little bit of a summer school update in terms of some of our numbers, where we are, and then she's also going to talk about the school performance plan process, and I just want to set the stage for that. Again, a very tough year, but the fact of the matter is we're looking to go back into this upcoming school year as normal as possible, and we know that we've always been an excellent school district, and of course we'll continue to be so, but instruction has always been a hallmark of what we do, and we have fantastic teachers. So Ms. Lightbourne is hard at work with her department, with our schools, with those school performance plans.
May I ask a quick question before we start? These, what you reported, are these the scores of students that were in both FTEs, or just the students that just took the test in the spring? Have we filtered out those that?
So Joe P. and Wendy, so they will be doing that right now. This is the global list of all students tested.
Oh, okay, I just know that some teachers were talking how difficult it was that, and so thrilled that students were coming back into the school second semester, but with the wave of students, then that created a few more challenges. And one other thing, you mentioned the flexible hours, the testing of the students that came in. I know that schools that came, whatever the parent wanted, before school, after school, they were so accommodating to our parents and our students to get those students tested. So I think that's one strong reason why you have that 91%, giving credit to those schools that went above and beyond getting those
Absolutely.
students in and tested. So we do appreciate that.
But remember.
Excuse me.
Go ahead, Omar.
I was just going to follow up and say that I think, my opinion, that given the number of the percent tested, it would be very difficult to draw a lot of substantial conclusions. I do think, though, that next year, given our outstanding teachers, I think that we'll see, again, a dramatic increase and a return to the lofty heights that we occupied, particularly because we'll be doing more direct teacher instruction. And I just feel like that it's good and it's worthy to have this information, but we all know the kinds of things that happened this year and the lack of direct teacher instruction in many, many cases. And I just think we'll see a big improvement next year.
Our teachers take great pride, and they'll look at these
That's
numbers,
right.
and that becomes a challenge.
That's right.
And
I agree. I agree.
Well, I think they
And I'm
should
very
be
proud.
proud.
Oh,
They should be
extremely,
proud
extremely.
because it was a tough year. And when you look at every district dropped. There were a few that stayed even and one that went up 1 percentage point, but it has one school in that district.
Right.
So,
Right.
so
And-
when
and
you
you
look
have
at
to-
that,
They don't count.
yeah.
And you have to look at their percent tested. I mean, they might have only tested 50%.
Right.
Correct,
Yeah.
So
correct.
it-
And
it-
that was also
That's-
very, very interesting to
Much as-
see.
Right.
And what I said, what I meant was that even if it was 99%, our teachers would strive to be 100%.
That's right.
Absolutely.
We're just such-
Absolutely.
strong?
With summer school, I have some rough numbers, and it's been a challenge for our teachers, for our schools to get our students to attend. I think kind of everybody just is ready for a break, but we do have 1,453 students across the district attending summer school. There's 430 elementary students, 345 middle, and 549 high school. And with middle school, as students complete, because there's this course recovery, middle and high school. So as students complete, if there's room and an empty computer, so in other words, I finish the courses I need to complete, they'll bring in the next student who might be on a waiting list if we didn't get them all in there. So we also have 12 VPK, which is a full unit of VPK. So we have 12 VPK and we have 93 ESY students coming. So again, for a total of 1,453 students, and that's rough, but that's what we have coming across the district right now.
Ms. Lightborn, is that typical for a summer school?
Elementary, we usually run in the 400 to 500 range, so yes, it is typical, but, retention was lenient because of third grade retention wasn't mandatory and so on. So we have less retained students. So the majority of these students are coming because they're struggling students. They're not necessarily retained. In the past, we only allow retained students. Right. So that's the difference this summer. We have more students that are not under retention criteria.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Also in summer school, in elementary, we did a much smaller ratio, a 1-to-12 ratio. We've added classroom assistants where we could get them and interpreters where we could get them so that there's extra help to provide small group. When we receive third grade scores, if those students didn't already qualify for summer school based on their iReady scores and their grades, we invited those students as well if their scores were of concern. We are currently, my curriculum department is going through summer school and just doing walkthroughs and observing what is going on. We bought specific iReady materials that scaffolds instruction for our students because we know all of these students are below grade level. So we need to get to grade level standards, but you can't just hit them with grade level standards. So iReady has a scaffolding document that helps a teacher know how to scaffold the material to get them to the grade level standards. So it's very targeted this summer. Again, retained students as well as struggling students. We're targeting very, very small group. If you walk in and you see some of the classrooms have as small as 6 students to begin with, so that really gives the teacher the opportunity to work one-on-one or one-on-two, which has really been a blessing for those students. So that's summer school in a nutshell. I think it's going well. I think we're helping the students who have decided to attend.
Might I ask a question, Mr.
Yes, sir,
Chairman?
of course.
So Ms. Lightborn, what should parents expect to get once summer school is over for their child? Will they get some kind of assessment or standing as to how their child progressed? And I wondered if you might speak to that.
So at the end, we use their iReady third administration to target what their needs were.
Right.
So that was done in May.
Okay.
And then we'll do an iReady assessment at the end of the year, or at the end of summer school.
All right.
And then those results will be provided to parents.
Okay, very good.
So they'll see the
Right.
growth that a
Excellent.
student made over the summer.
Very good.
Yeah. We also have a reading at home plan that's on our website that parents can look at and pull down. Our schools give that to struggling students as well. So there's several things out there on the webpage that parents can use at home to try and support
Good.
their students as well.
Very good.
And briefly talk about the program that we'll be instituting that deals with the books that will go home with students.
Okay, so there's a new, you all know the new legislation that's out there. It's called the New World Book Program. And what that does is it provides all students who are below a level 3 with reading material at home. So once we have the assessments completed at the beginning of the year. We'll be putting this, all the elementary schools, this is for elementary, all the elementary schools will be putting it in their handbooks, so parents will be aware. But then those parents of students who are performing below a level 3 or below grade level will be notified and asked if they would like to participate in this program, and then they will get reading materials that are appropriate for their students sent to their homes.
Are these online or?
No, these will be
Hard copy?
hard copies.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Okay.
And that would start at 3rd grade, since that's where we start our FSA.
I'm not positive yet, so, the law just came
Oh,
through and we're
exactly.
still trying
Uh-huh.
to figure all the nuances out,
The dust
and exactly how we're getting those books and all of those things. So as soon as we know the exact details, I think it's 3rd through 5th, but there may be some K2 availability as
That would
well.
be
And we
great
can use
if it was-
iReady to determine that, so.
Especially 2nd grade. first
Yeah,
grade, 2nd
absolute
grade,
needs.
absolutely.
Well, and I
Second.
can't help but ask, but given the fact that you're rewriting chapter 3, where are these books coming from?
The state is determining the books that we'll be able to choose from.
So in effect, these will be state-adopted materials, I guess.
Mhm.
Okay, good.
Yep, yep.
Funding come along with that?
Yes,
Okay.
so that's why there's a little bit of question as to how and when we'll be getting the materials and things like that. So we hope to have that going, but I always hesitate to say it may not be
Right.
till second semester, kind of thing, but.
Well, you have a
but
shorter summer, too.
Yes, yes.
Real quick, Sheila, Dr. White, I would just like to say thank you for reminding those that are listening where this information, these textbooks come from. It doesn't start here, it ends here, it starts in Tallahassee, so,
Supposed to, right?
yes.
And so because of what we saw 3rd grade, even though it's not a great decline, it is a decline. So we realize learning loss is a real thing.
Yeah.
We would like to not refer to it as learning loss anymore, but we would like to refer to it as accelerating learning for the future, because what we need to do, our task is to accelerate students' learning to get them back to where they should be. So that's really the terminology we're going to be using in our department and with our schools. So as we go through, our schools have their SPPs, they have their goals, and we really are getting back to what we know works. So we're going back to the balanced literacy model, the balanced math model, and really honing in on that. We know this year with all of the COVID restrictions, we had to keep people 6 feet apart. We had to have these dividers, small group instruction. Teachers tried, and they got creative on trying how to do it, but it wasn't the same. So that is truly going to be our focus, but using our iReady data as targeted data to really work with those students. As I told you in summer school, it has scaffolding reports. We use that term a lot, but a lot of people don't really understand what does that mean. So this will give teachers the resources to really be able to work with students and bring them from where they are to where they need to be. And we also realize that learning loss is not only with our struggling students, but it's with our very advanced students, because they just didn't have the instruction. If you're quarantined 2 or 3 times and your teacher was quarantined or had COVID, you had a significant amount of instructional time lost. So those are big focuses in curriculum. We're calling it Reboot Curriculum this year. So we want to reboot it, get excited, get engagement, take it to that next level with our students. We're providing for teachers and principals, we're in the process of creating a look for and hear for sheet. So what should it look like when you walk in and good instruction is happening in particular areas, like in close reads, in text marking, in small group, in student talk? What does that look like, and what does it sound like? Because sometimes it looks really good, but there's not really a lot going on. So we want people to know this is what it looks like and this is what it sounds like. So we're working on documents to support our administrators and our teachers in those areas.
And might I interject just for a moment?
Sure.
And certainly the board knows this, and Ms. Lightbourne knows this, but the public might not really think about this. all of these things that you're talking about that adversely affected student growth and may have resulted in learning loss also affected the rate of acceleration for the advanced students. And so we do tend to focus on learning loss. I know you're going to call it something else. But at the same time, it affected the rate of progression. And that significantly will also affect our test scores when that occurs.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We wouldn't
Right.
have the percentage of level 4s and 5s that
Exactly.
we typically have. Those students, our level 4s and 5s are going to be proficient,
Right.
but they may not be a 4 or 5 because
may
they
not
just didn't
progress.
have the instructional time. They lost
Exactly.
instructional time. So we realize all of that, and that is our target. We're working hard to give our teachers and our principals the right tools to make sure we get back to what we know works.
And to
And we've
Dr.
got
White's
this.
point, with the advanced students, I think you've already been working with schools on spiraling plans, because we know that regardless of the level of student, there were gaps.
Yes.
I think the statisticians call that regression to the mean, and it certainly affects those higher level students. They tend to regress back toward the mean, the average. And so those things that you guys are doing will help move them back over in the other direction.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Ms. Lightboard. Mr. Chambers?
Thank you. And then lastly, I wanted Dr. Hale to come up and just give a little bit of information about hirings and the vacancies and what we're looking like right now as we progress towards the start of the school year.
Good.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Just wanted to kind of affirm what Mr. Chambers said earlier about this being a very, very busy time in the district, nowhere more so than human resources, trust me. And just before I get started with just some numbers, there's always information inside the data that's not readily apparent unless I make that apparent. And so just understand that every number, every process, every piece of data that's involved with human resources over the summer involves human input that or some type of sophisticated process that is time consuming, and just want to give an acknowledgement to the human resources staff because they are very, very capable, professional, and handling things with a degree of efficiency that is just unparalleled. So just a quick shout out to human resources before I get into the numbers. But as you know, if anybody's walked over there in the summertime, it is a beehive of activity, and the numbers that kind of outline that, well, it's even more than the numbers, and I just wanted to point that out. Just so that you know, after this board acted last year to engage the substitutes with a COVID-related stipend, from October until the end of the year, we were able to hire 167 substitutes, which is a boon. That's a benefit for us. But I also want you to know that right now, as of this moment in process, we have 111 substitute applications being processed. And you know, Rachel does all of that, everywhere from the initial contact, through the approval, through the transcripts, through the getting them over to Courtney so they can do the newcomers. So 111 potential substitutes in process right now, so that's exciting. In terms of instructional, right now there are 336 current applications in some degree of process. And you know that there's probably 150 to 200 that just kind of stay active over the years as they are pushed through. But right now, there have been 239 individual HR processes related to positions, whether it be transfer, whether it be a position shift, whether it be a position that's gone active or filled across the district, or even active. We actually have, as of this morning, 64 instructional postings that are active across both elementary and secondary. So a lot of activity. Remember, even a transfer from one school to another is a process and a hire and a piece of hiring data. So just wanted to let you guys know about that. Right now, there were 136 new hires or transfers that have been already activated this summer. And of note, 24 of those can be tied directly to our virtual hiring fair, which is exciting. There are still some out there that came to our virtual fair that are seeking their positions, but that did have a almost 50% success rate to this point, so we're excited about that. And just for your edification, of the 64 postings that are currently out there right now, 10 elementary, 17 secondary. Sometimes in the secondary realm, it becomes a little bit more difficult because it's tied to a specific subject area and things like that. There are also a lot of ESE specialized positions that are out there that may or may not be specifically tied to schools and may be tied to an itinerant, the things that we typically are challenged to face. We have a lot of postings with staff psychologists and SLPs, speech and language pathologists, and things like that. So, lot of activity already happening, a lot of activity to come. Our recruitment efforts will continue in the instructional realm, but we also have support personnel that we're engaging to a very high degree this summer as well. Right now, there are 316 current support applications in some degree of process right now. However, some of our most highly sought-after positions, for instance, of the 316 support personnel active applications right now, there's 2 involved in the transportation department. So we're going to continue to recruit, seek, and do whatever we can to continue to find more help there. There are 147 current in-play positions, either through transfer, active, inactive. Some degree, like I said, some have already been done, some are to come. There's actually 91 current postings still out there for ed support today, but that's actually a not 100% true number, because one bus driver posting, we're not going to fill that with one person that's going to stay active and continue to try to get people. So there's 91 lines on the postings, but some of them actually represent more than one position. So still seeking a lot of ed support personnel. And to that end, we actually, and hopefully you guys will share it through your social media or say it in your venues and platforms that you have. We actually have an ed support job fair on July 9th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. right here in this venue. So we were actually very successful in getting some ed support through our job fair last year, even in a weird situation with COVID. And so we're hoping to get a lot of help there. But the more that we can spread the word, the better we'll do there. And already having some positive feedback, looking forward to that on our personal social media. So we actually have human resources social media,
Right.
Both on Twitter and Facebook, and we're promoting this. I would hope that you guys would follow, like, and share and all that stuff. So very, very busy, but all the ladies over there in human resources are just killing it. They're doing very well, so I'm very proud of them.
Is there a link on our website that
Yes.
we might could share?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And
Of
I'll
the list of
actually
schools? Okay.
I'll actually send that to your
Okay.
email so that you
Right.
can take
Good.
that and
Good.
move on with that.
Quick
Excellent.
question for you.
Mhm.
In the secondary openings that you have, can you tell if they're primarily for one certification area, like language arts or math, or is it a variety?
I anticipated that someone might ask that question, so I
Good.
brought my list with me
And
right
you knew it
now.
probably be me, didn't you?
All right, so in the secondary realm, it's spread across the core areas. Right now, we've got both math, English, science, and social studies. We've actually, one of the secondary schools has a CTE offering out there. Some foreign language, it's really a sprinkling across. There's no concentration in any one area right now.
Okay. Just seems like typically we have a wave of language arts and then a wave of math and.
Right. And even, just to have the limited number of elementary offerings or postings, to me, that's somewhat encouraging too, because at this point in the summer, we normally have a higher degree of elementary than secondary. I would say at this point in the summer, the secondary is fairly typical, but elementary seems to be grinding
More
pretty well
staggered,
right now.
good.
So I'm encouraged by that.
That's good.
So I have a question to follow up on that, so we'll see how good your notes are there. What percentage do you expect us to be as far as fill rate goes when we start school? Do you anticipate?
In terms of, are you
just
talking about the
teaching
fill rate?
positions, teaching positions in general? Are we going to be at 100%, or what are you expecting?
I would expect 100%.
Right. I mean, what?
But
anticipating, I guess.
realistically, we typically start the year with a handful of positions, maybe up to 10. I can't really predict this early on, because if you'll notice in your agenda that you're going to be acting on later, the primary bulk of the transactions that you're going to be acting on is in the transfer area. The next one, we'll see the newly hired list grow, I'm anticipating. So I would anticipate having a little bit better feel for that
Okay.
in July. However, I don't see necessarily anything this year that creates an expectation of difference from years past.
Okay.
And just to add on to that, I think July will give us a better picture. As you know, right now, Mr. Horton is very cautious with the allocations that we hand out right now. So as we get into July, more enrollments occur, principals doing those master schedules, they know to contact him, but they're also being very cautious as well, which is a good approach. So in July, there potentially could be some additional positions that will go out.
And the reason why I brought that up was because, last year the governor made it an emphasis on starting teacher salary, and I was just curious to see if that's kind of helped get people motivated getting back into education as far as.
So I can tell you that our hiring data from last year, I guess let me roll back. To answer your question, I think we're going to see the greater impact on that in years future whenever the education, the education universities, the level 1 programs that are producing teachers have a bigger pool that they're sending us. Because right now, last year, our greatest population of hires were career changers.
Right.
So obviously, it will have some impact. It would be, if it didn't have an impact, it would be unbelievable.
Right.
But I think the greater impact is in the future as we start to see more people getting into education from the colleges and then coming to us as new hires. That's my just unvarnished opinion.
And we appreciate that.
And I have something, Dr. Hale, while you're up here, I was going to mention it later, but changing the subject, I was honored to attend the retiree reception that your department put on. It was a terrific event of the employees that were retiring, and congratulations to your department for doing an outstanding job of hosting those individuals. I think they really felt honored from when they were talking to me. So if you will please express to your department the appreciation for such a very professional and well-handled reception for retirees.
Thank you. I do appreciate that, and I will specifically mention that to Carol Wright, who was instrumental in organizing that. She was very, very nervous about how it was going to go and very, very pleased with the result, and she will certainly appreciate those comments. I will go immediately after this meeting and tell her that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I'd just like to add to that, also to your wife, Gretchen. I see all of those little happies, goodies that she provides for your team over there. That goes a long way. And she's very creative in what she provides. So
Well,
thank you for that. I mean, that goes a long way with a team.
Well, and I
that you're
appreciate
working
that,
with.
and I will not even get started talking about my wife because I will be here all day. But I will say this and say that she very much appreciates the people that take care of me, and so she just wants to do something for them, and I do appreciate and love her very much. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Head.
Thank you.
Mr. Chambers?
All right, the last thing, I have, some of you have asked me about the admin retreat that we normally have in July. It will be on July 15th, and we'll get information out to you, but we are not calling it an admin retreat. We are going to call it a leadership summit. So we're changing that. The actual, there's a theme to it. It's going to be refuel. So there's a lot that's going to go on that day. So we're excited about it. It's going to be a very good day, but we'll get information out to you, and if you'd like to attend, like you've done in the past, absolutely welcome to be there.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else, sir? All right. So now we'll move down to section 15, board members' announcements and requests for information. And before we get started, board members, I was talking to Ms. Perry earlier before the meeting started, and we're in the budget season. And as y'all know, the budget books are going to be handed out to us after this meeting. But I just want to ask y'all if you're willing or want to do a budget workshop. And Ms. Perry is willing to do that. She just needs to know if we're wanting to do that. And typically, when we have budget workshops, we pretty much go down, have all the departments come in, and they tell us everything that's going on. It's helpful as far as being transparent. So, but that would be up to the board if we want to do that. So, we don't have to answer that today, but, if.
Well, I can answer for myself.
Yes, sir.
I would prefer that.
Okay.
And I think it serves some interest to us and our constituency.
Yes.
Because the budget is one of the most critical things, really, that we're charged with doing by law. So I would prefer to do that. I know that it's lengthy, and I know that it may be somewhat inconvenient for our staff to have to appear, but I think that in terms of our responsibilities, and I would just say that I would prefer to, but I'm just one.
Right. Well, and, I was saying the transparency part of it, and that's what I've always enjoyed, is that we give the people opportunity, because it is recorded and everything, and we can show people that we are taking this budget very seriously. So with that, if y'all are okay, we'll ask Ms. Perry to look at some dates and get back with us to make sure it all coordinates. But like Dr. White said, Ms. Gardner, I know this would be your first one. It does take quite a bit of time of the day, but it is very informative, so.
So will we be voting on that Monday night?
I don't, do we have to
Or
vote
do we
on that?
vote on that?
You don't have to vote on it. I mean,
Oh,
if it's a
okay.
Yeah,
consensus,
just-
you're going to
just-
schedule one. You're
Right.
All right,
just
just
to get-
schedule it.
yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, all
Thank
right,
you.
you excited, Ms. Perry? Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
And Miss
Okay.
Rita, you're always welcome to join if you'd like
Ah,
to.
she's like,
If you miss it.
I'm glad I'm through.
Rita was
If
like,
you're
well, what am I
missing
going to be doing in July?
Listen, once she gets loose, I think you're going to have a hard time.
Paul, put the camera on
She's
her
probably
right now. She is
okay.
smiling so big. All right, so we'll go around the table, and I'll start with Dr. White today.
No report today.
All right, and Dr. Kelly?
I've spent all year counting down to the summer, and we are deep into the summer now already, so I'll forego those calendar dates. But I do have one request. I very much appreciated whichever of your staff put this together for us. It's very nicely done, very handy to have. I know we've had quite a few changes, and I'll give this to you so you can hold on to it as a reminder, but if we could have a new one of those, we may have another change or two. If you want to wait till that, it's perfectly fine with me. I just appreciated it so much. I think it's a valuable resource. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
And that's all I have.
All right, and Ms. Manchip?
Yes, as you know, I represent the Okaloosa Public Schools Foundation from our board, and I'd like to announce that we had 14 graduates. Each of those 14 students will receive a Bright Future Scholarship, full scholarship, so that's great. And of course, we're bringing in a new group with that and everything. But if I could ask Miss Dale to come up, I'd like to share something about her. And she doesn't know I'm doing this. It's all good, Miss Dale.
Her eyes just went, what?
I know, it's like, what is she thinking? I just want to share this because it's a scenario that happened just a couple weeks ago that she was instrumental in, and I don't think the public gets to see these individuals that work in our district, so I'm going to make it as quick as I can. I've been working with a student the last 2 years that's had some challenges. This is an honor student, and the last year it's been very challenging. On top of this student went a combination of Edgenuity and My School Online, but to speed it up, it's a student who's honors, but in a tough, challenging home situation with a very hardworking single parent. And right as school was kind of ending, they hit a crisis point and essentially found themselves homeless. And the parent reached out to me the Friday of Memorial weekend and said, I'm at my wit's end, I'm homeless. The parent does have employment, but so all of this, of course, affected the student academically. Although a good student, they were living, in terrible situation. So I thought about it and put a call into Ms. Dale. First, I got with Ms. Schroeder, who we know does a fabulous job with the COVID piece and all that. But I got to Ms. Dale, and I'm pretty sure sounding a little bit panicked by the time I got to her. And this, like I said, this is Friday of Memorial Weekend. And I just want you to know that she went above and beyond to handle this situation. She, of course, does anything that pretty much starts with the word title. She does Title I, Title IX. She works with our homeless student population. She jumped right on it, got to the people we needed. We worked through it, even at a difficult time where we were finding a lot of people we needed to get to were not even open on that Friday. And I just want to thank you, and I haven't been able a chance to tell you this, but I got a phone call from the parents saying they have been helped with getting their own place to live, helping with funding for that, and just so many things that has put them back in a positive light. And then my second panic was to Miss Lightbourne, trying to help the student academically get back on track. She worked her magic, as she always does, with curriculum and got that student a schedule. She's in summer school now. It looks like things are going to get back on. And I wanted to share that scenario because these are the kinds of things that our employees, of people in our district staff do that you don't hear about. And I am just so appreciative because obviously I've made a bond with that student. Makes me emotional, but thank you.
Well, thank you. Without having that relationship, we would not probably have been aware at all. So that's what makes the difference, the relationships in our schools. And MIS was involved as well. We're getting a hotspot for the student so that she can complete summer school.
Well, that's what we're all here for.
Yes.
And thank you. I just wanted to share that, and I appreciate you letting me do that. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So, Ms. Gardner, we're going to turn it over to you. We know you have some fantastic news you want to tell us.
Well, I've already talked about the baby, so again, if you want to meet me afterwards, I will take as long as you need to share this wonderful news we have. I do have a question, and probably Miss Ivanchek could help me with it, but I didn't want to violate possibly sunshine. In listening to the news and different venues of news, there seems to be more and more articles, conversations dealing with yearbooks and political maybe information, things that were inappropriate, so forth. And I'm not in any way talking about censorship, but is there more than just the teacher, supervisor for the yearbooks, or do the yearbooks, when they're finished, is there a committee that review those yearbooks? Or is it just down to one person, the teacher? And I'm not in any way criticizing a teacher or anything, but it seems like several pairs of eyes on a book might be helpful. But also the articles and, again, the news programs, it appeared that it was just back on one sponsor, and that one sponsor was taking the heat on things. There were school board meetings that the individuals that came to speak, parents, community members, outraged. And I don't want to be on the receiving side of that, because just watching it on the news, I was kind of wondering, okay, is there an officer somewhere in that building? But it just, what is the procedure, policies in a way to protect our teachers or sponsors in the yearbook? How does that work?
Well, I did student publications for a large part of my teaching career.
Award-winning, let's say.
Oh, thank you. A lot of great students. But I did yearbook and newspaper, and it is a very challenging situation. There are, of course, free speech laws,
Absolutely.
but when a publication has the name on it representing the school, there is that's free speech goes under, it's a little bit different. Students don't just have open, because they are representing the school. And technically, that principal is the publisher. And so I always worked with my principal, the principal I had, and had that relationship so it was understood. And that teacher has to approve everything that goes along with, on the yearbook side, a representative from that yearbook company. And they need to understand what goes in there. Now, I have to say some of the things, I think I know the stories you're talking about. What has happened in the years since I've actually been doing yearbooks, technology, especially on the student side, there could be things that students can get in there and change even after the teacher has seen that, and then once it's approved to the publisher, you don't see it till that book is in a form like that. And I think that happened over in Escambia County, where a student's face was covered with their school mascot.
There's been several, right.
Yeah, and that happened even after the teacher had already done that. So I think it goes back to that relationship between the teacher who's been given the assignment or has taken on the assignment to work with students in publications and that principal, and to make sure that those checks are being made to do that. And then I think the teacher needs to understand that everything that comes out in that book represents the school and the school district. So it is not a free-for-all, you can put anything you want to in there.
Well, and again, I do know the one you're talking about there, but also political beliefs that, in
Well,
today's times
there's been a
are
lot.
very,
Yes.
Yeah,
very
even
sensitive.
modifying an entire class of students' photographs.
Right,
Because
right.
the first photographs were not considered appropriate.
Right.
I guess, first of all, I would say that I appreciate very much your remarks. And, some of us have been focused on Chapter 3, instructional materials. But your remarks are very, very appropriate, and to me, and I don't know if it might be something that the superintendent might wish to look at,
Well-
and form some guidelines perhaps, or some ideas, because the kind of things that you're talking about, they've happened to us in the past.
Right.
And I think, based upon Ms. Ivanchek's comments about the ability of students to go in there and make changes that the advisor, the principal, the sponsor might not even know about, that's pretty significant. I do think that the school board and the district has some areas of strength here, because we pay for those classes that produce those yearbooks and provide the allocations for the teachers that produce them. And in addition to that, we have those classes. So I don't know, Superintendent, it might be something you and the attorney may want to take a look at about how do we ensure, because I'm like you, I've seen some of those school board meetings on TV, and I've seen some of those comments, and I've seen some of those irate folks, and in many cases, they have a right to be
And I'm not in
concerned.
any way engaging in censorship, but again, with the political views the way they are,
Well, there's some things
sensitivity,
that are appropriate,
inappropriate
some things that
comments,
aren't.
just
And-
more than
and,
just one or two people looking at those, just gotta be proactive.
And there are a couple of other ideas that might be helpful here. One is, as Ms. Vanchek said, a lot of this is based on relationships, the relationships the teacher has and the trust in those students who were selected to be on that yearbook staff. And so they understand then that that's a responsibility and an honor to be on that staff. So that's an important piece of that. And it's a learning opportunity for them with the things about copyright and censorship versus free speech. And as Ms. Vanchek eloquently said, once you're on that yearbook staff and it has your district and your school's logo and stamp of approval, you don't have that kind of leeway and that kind of license to your own freedom of speech. But second to that, another point that was made is very important, is that in today's world, unlike when I was doing yearbook, and maybe even when Ms. Vanchek was, who probably did it later than I did, is that now everything is online. When I did it, it was only a hybrid. Part of it was online. And the students who are on that staff have a password to get on there. I would think that in a district like ours, with the excellent technology that we have, we could somehow go in and take that privilege of being able to go in and edit away after the yearbook sponsor has said, I've seen it, I've proofed it, it's good to go. And then they post that to the website and it's good, then those passwords can be taken from the student. I would think we have some way of doing that in a district like ours. So just a thought.
Gotcha. And I've taken down the note, and we'll look at that process.
And again, innocently, students may put something in that has a poster that deals with something political or something of the times. And then again, where is the balance? And innocently, not anything, that's going to be, they're doing out of spite or just something, again, being proactive.
But that's where the teacher comes in, by looking at that and saying, teaching that it's a teachable moment of telling that student, while you may think that's innocent, you need to understand there's the other side. So we need to watch that. So that, to me, is where the professionalism of the advisor comes in. Yeah.
Maybe just another pair of eyes to help
Right.
that sponsor, because
Sure.
a lot of this, it fell back on the sponsor. And I would think
Yeah.
that as hard as the
Yeah, it's
sponsors
tough.
work, on these for that to come back on a sponsor or a principal that maybe had not, previewed it. But
Well-
it just seemed like it was just one person in charge. And again, just being proactive and not in any way
No.
discouraging.
know.
Yeah,
to
I
our
mean,
new
I
principal.
agree
Freedom of speech or-
1,000%, and that's another area of, I hate to use the word, but it's the reality. We supplement. We provide an additional stipend for those folks that sponsor those yearbooks or annuals or whatever it might be. And given that, I would think that we might have some latitude there. I know how hard they work and how difficult sometimes it is to find them that are willing to do that, and maybe even
That's
more
right.
so now. But I agree, Ms. Gardner, I appreciate your remarks very much.
And Ms. Garner, I was just thinking real quick, there's a state organization called the Florida Scholastic Press Association. I will reach out to them and see if they are putting out a statement or doing anything statewide and report that back to you.
Several of the cases came from Florida, down south,
Yeah.
west
I'll
of
see how
us.
it's,
and
how
it
how
just
it's being
seems to
handled on a
be
state
more
basis, and
prevalent.
I'll reach out and see what I can find out
Just
about
being
that.
proactive. I don't want to sit on the
Absolutely.
other side of that.
That's right.
Some of those meetings that I witnessed. That's all.
All right. And to just piggyback on that, so, each of us has a relationship with our superintendent where we can talk to him at, any time. And I know in my conversations with Mr. Chambers regarding all the publicity that's out there regarding school boards, just to be proactive and look at every issue that's coming up before these school boards, not just that particular issue, but there's issues that are on the national level that we don't want to necessarily be at the Okaloosa level. So by being proactive, which is a great term to use, and I feel like Mr. Chambers and his team are being proactive on all of these issues. So, and I appreciate that.
Just learn from others.
Yes. Yes.
And I would say, based on this conversation, as you know, we're looking at all policies right now, and all of you have been extremely helpful. But I would say Dr. White's been extremely helpful as well, especially in Chapter 3. So we are very attuned to some of these issues and trying to have good policies that support what we do here in Okaloosa. So I do appreciate that.
My comments, I will just say, last night I had the privilege of going to the ribbon cutting for the Shoe Foundation, their ACE hangar, which is the Aeronautical Center of Excellence. And Dr. Shoe and Bob Feller were, did I say Bob Feller? I meant Bob Keller. Bob Feller, the baseball player. Bob Keller, who was with Sunshine Aero, they teamed up together to get this project done along with Triumph Money, and it was just a great event. It was a full house. So if you've ever been down Airport Road in Crestview, it's a nice building, very limited parking, and all of Airport Road was pretty jammed with cars and just dignitaries that were there. We also had several teachers that were recognized for the Shoe Foundation scholarships ranging from $500 to $5,000. Several STEM teachers were there to get their checks, so I thought that was really a cool thing. So, just to see something that was a dream of Dr. Shoe become reality is just awesome. And Okaloosa schools are going to benefit from this. And, we are targeting a industry that is vital to Okaloosa County, and that's aeronautical. And I know we have some great programs already in place, but this is just going to solidify that. And that's just the first phase. There's actually a couple more phases they're going to add on to that particular building up there. So it was great to be a part of that last night.
Yeah, I had one more thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Are the news, have you going to share the third grade, these excellent third grade scores with the newspapers so they can put it out there for our parents and our community to see? I mean, really, we're very proud of what they've done, and I don't know if the newspapers have called and asked for this information yet, but it's maybe.
So right now they have not. Now what we
Okay.
were planning
They
on
may
doing was
now.
getting a compilation of all of them together, but
Okay.
we can look at that as well.
Mhm. That's a lot, I mean, great pat on the back there for our teachers and all of our employees.
Yes, ma'am.
Proud of them.
And real quick, Terry is not here. I thought she was going to stick around, but we were recognizing employees. Terry Schroeder, I don't know about y'all, but it's nice not to get those daily updates from her. But I did want to recognize Terry Schroeder for all her hard work this year.
She's
I think
done a
if
fabulous
if
job.
anybody had a tough job, she had the toughest job. And but Terry's not in the audience, so like Miss Dale, she didn't know she was going to be recognized today, so I don't blame her for getting up and going after her item was done. But just to say thank you to Terry Schroeder and all the amazing people that work with her. So, all right, so we'll move down to section 16, and this will be the 2-minute version of public comment, and we do have some public hearing. 17.1, public hearing for adoption of the Elementary and Secondary Code of Student Conduct for the 2021 through 2022 school year. And then public hearing for adoption of revised job description for Quality Control Manager Food Service. And with that, Ms. Perry, Dr. Hale, Mr. Strong, Ms. Appleberg, Ms. Lightbourne, Patrick.
I just wanted to say thank you. If you haven't heard, we settled yesterday, and I think this was an extremely difficult year because of the start of the implementation of the $15 an hour minimum wage. I think we maintained the differentiation that we had talked about, and that your team worked really hard, our team worked really hard, and I think it was a win-win for all of us, and I appreciate that time we spent together. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We do appreciate all of y'all, everybody's hard work in getting that done. So let's see, Ms. Appleberg, Ms. Lightbourne. All right, this meeting's adjourned.